Hey friends, welcome to another episode of my vlog. It's Sunday, June 23rd, and let's just say summer has arrived in New England. We had some wild hot temperatures this week, all in the 90s and very humid. It felt like August instead of June. And yeah, just walking around and see how everything has fared in the garden. I think my peas are pretty much done. How you can tell that peas are done, you can tell they are not producing many flowers anymore. A few still have some, so I'll probably give them until next week, because then I have a week off. Like the week from 4th of July, I'm looking very much forward to that. But then I think the peas are done, and I'll give some more space to the squashes and the cucumbers in here, although the groundhog found its way in it despite the chicken wire. So I was like, ugh, whatever. But in the good news department, the lettuce bar looks amazing. Didn't seem to be bothered. It had a shade cloth for the entire week over, which is flopping right there right now, just to keep it real. But they are looking really, really good. And yeah, it's safe to say that my tomatoes, as well as my peppers and the center cut squash, all loved the weather. Actually, I went through yesterday and cut a lot of, or pruned a lot of the tomatoes to give them some airflow with all the humidity going on, to not invite other problems. But all of my tomatoes are already carrying fruit. I found already some surprise fruit, which I didn't expect here. Big poblano already. But everything is looking great. My jalapenos are soon to be packed. And my tomatoes are actually packed. It's just hard to see. But that is the San Marzano. I think those are two Plum Perfects, or Plum Perfect, Plum Regal, and I think that is in Midnight Roma as well. You can always tell it has a little bit of a purplish hue to the stem. But yeah, and those tomatoes got really pruned yesterday as well, because you couldn't see the fruits, and I always prefer to see the fruits. And we have a lot of wind, as you can tell from the audio, so I really prefer them not to have too much to where the wind can catch on. But then otherwise, yeah, the shishitos are rocking too. Some baby eggplants. So yeah, the garden is really cranking in there. Just look at the squash and cucumber and beans bed. The beans understood the assignment as well. They're peeking through. And what I did yesterday was cutting back some basil heart. That was stressed a lot. And you can see here still a few. The slugs went really hard on the basil. So I just, like, they were tall like this, like literally a foot taller. I hacked it all back as a rejuvenation prune. I have also currently this really annoying bug going around, which makes the leaves look like this. It's like it punches hole in the leaves. It doesn't do much, and it doesn't kill the plants. It just makes the foliage look really ugly. It's like called, I think, the four-lined bug, or four-lined idiot bug. I don't know, four-lined something, and it's like really neon yellow, almost green. And yeah, I'll see it flying around. It went down on my ornamental basil as well, which I cut back. It's not that bad, but it will grow back, and luckily I don't grow for any type of production, right? But you can tell here when you look, that's like how the damage looks. It's just ugly. And it usually has just in like a lifetime or a season of like 3 weeks or so. Then it's done, like producing eggs and reproducing it, and then it's usually gone. So it's more an annoyance than anything else. But oh, and let me show you quickly what I got as well. Look at that. Ooh, of course, bug spray. quintessential these days in the garden. But I got a new bird bath, and I need to level it a little bit more now that I see the water standing in it. But got a really, really pretty bird bath. Look at the bottom of it. Isn't it gorgeous, from our local nursery? I was looking at that for actually pretty much a year. I wanted to get one already like last year for my birthday, and then I was like, no, I got a rose and a container last year for my birthday, so I was like, wait another year, and then this year I got it, so lovely. And the most exciting thing is that the cut flower is starting to come in. I'm enjoying it. The zinnias from Floret were the first ones to bloom. I cut already a bunch out of it, and let me just show you. Just look at all the buds. And all of them, or most of them, have been pinched. So they're already like growing multiple stems. And here you see the first ones. They're really, really pretty. And they have like the undersides are this iridescent color. It's gorgeous. A few of them look a little bit cranky, but number one, the first blooms of zinnia sometimes look cranky. It's the same with the dahlias. Don't trust or don't be upset when the first bloom is not the prettiest. They need one or two blooms sometimes to get to their full potential. But this is the golden hour here. I think it's like golden hour, Victorian wedding, precious metals, and alpenglow, or vice versa. But this is definitely here Victorian wedding, and that's golden hour. Cosmos are growing strong as well. I love those double click ones. They are so fluffy. The only downside is, oh, there's something in it. The only downside with it is they catch sometimes water when it rains hard, but they produce a lot of blooms, so it's usually okay. And here are my classic zinnias. That is Queen Lime Green coming in. I know that's the green. I think that's the Queen Lime Blush. But yeah, I think in 2 weeks from now, everything is brimming, and what is already brimming is Snapdragon section. I cut a lot of them out already. That is the Apple Blossom one. Just look at it. They turn a little bit more pinkish when they age, but those are my favorites. They're like the light pink, and yeah, I think those are the light pinks, and this over there is the lavender. Those were the three colors I have, but mostly Apple Blossom because that's definitely my most favorite color. And the Lysianthus are loading as well. Over there are a few more, which are already further. So yeah. And my feverfew is doing fantastic, and we have here already some yarrow blooming. Look, so pretty. Yeah, it's wild how quickly things can grow, isn't it? Yeah, and even the onions are starting to really bulb up. Like, look at that one there. Oh, and the weed. So that is how I usually weed. Going around looking at my plants, I was like, oh, there's the weed. And you can tell the garlic is very, very close to be harvest ready. When we look here, we have like 1, 2, actually when you see 1, 2, 3, those are starting to be ready for harvest. I typically wait until I have all of them ready to harvest because I don't want to do it twice. But yeah, they are looking great. I'm probably going to let them in until next weekend as well. Number one, I have off then. And number two, we had so much rain the last couple days. That was another 1.5 inches or so in like 2 nights. Came really hard down. The garden needed it after the hot week, but yeah, now the garlic is probably quite wet again. I always like to wait until the soil is just a little bit drier to harvest them. But yeah, things are going. And then I most likely, so what I want to do with that bed, when the garlic is gone, that gets re-amended that half, and I'm going to put in edamame on that side, even when the garlic, when the onions are gone, which typically takes more 5 more weeks or 6 more weeks longer. So we're usually harvesting them beginning of August. So I typically like to put some beans in, and I started a couple years ago to put edamame in because we love edamame. I eat edamame every day for breakfast. I know it's weird, it's delicious though. And yeah, so that's what we're growing. Yeah, and then otherwise, dahlias are also looking good. They always need a little longer, right? So we just look here at all my new varieties. All of them have been pinched. There are a few of them which are like massive, which are like encroaching on the other side space. Yeah, don't look too close to the leaves. They have a lot of bug damage from that stupid bug as well, and like slugs and everything, but they're holding on fine. And then, isn't it funny how quickly something beautiful turns into a really, really mess? They get pruned, like all of my roses get pruned next weekend as well. I wanted to wait until it's a little bit cooler again and not so wet. Like, I don't like to prune things hard when it's wet. The tomatoes were a little bit of an exception because they just grow so fast. If you wait another week, it's just a foot higher and taller. But just look at this squash. I'm like, just look at it. I hope I don't regret planting 2 again, but that is all squash coming out here. Center cut squash. You see here already the first one. Oh, it's probably not the first one, but the first one I can spot. When you go down there, there are a lot of male flowers. Like you can tell, female flower, it has a flower head, and there is the fruit already at the bottom. And the male ones, let me see here. The male ones are just blooms and no fruit on the bottom. That's how you can separate them. But I'm kind of expecting to find some already. We have already blooms somewhere in the middle, but that might be also the cucumbers. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But the tomatoes are also doing great. I think we'll have one of the first tomatoes also in a couple of weeks. They are looking fantastic, the cherry tomatoes. Everything else will take more time. I'm pretty sure of that. This Mountain Magic one is really prolific. It reminds me almost of a cherry tomato. This is I think that's a full size here. It reminds me a little bit of a cherry. It's a little bit bigger than a cherry. It's a little bit bigger than a grape. I think that's why it's just classified as a normal tomato still. But yeah, prolific producer already. That's the one I have the hardest time to keep in check here because it's like sprouting and really, really, really vigorous in terms of growing habit. I'm like also waiting for the hornworm to show up again, but knock on wood, so far I haven't seen anything. So yeah. Oh, and then here's the other dahlia bed. Again, everything is looking great. And I'm happy to report those are all my seedlings I saved from last year. So all of those ones, those 5 ones, are the pretty one I saved from last year. Remember that like cactus one? And those are the 2 other ones I saved as well. It's always funny to see like how different sometimes growth habits are from dahlias, right? So here are my seedlings, which are planted from tuber. Like everything you see here was planted from tuber. And then here, Joey Nikki is really still kind of small, while everything else is already like sizable. And we have here my Cozy Town section. One which rotted away, unfortunately, but the other ones are doing fine. And yeah, a few ones look like they need some nutrition soon. We'll see. But yeah, most of them is looking great except for stupid slug damage. You can't look too close. They're all like eaten up at the base. So we'll see. Exciting times, exciting times. So yeah, let me know what you're up to. I'm really curious to hear that as per usual. And yeah, it's going to be extremely pretty very, very soon. Where are we in 4 weeks from now? End of July? Yeah, pretty much. I'm very, very certain about that. So, especially if the weather keeps going like this. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the vlog. I'm going to take the bunnies out of my yard here. And then otherwise, I'll see you next week. Have a good one.